Ladies and gentlemen, I am Yusril, the game is World of Warships, and welcome to the Minekaze, the Summit Wind. This is the Tier 5 Japanese destroyer, and in closed beta, if the mighty Jingles is to be believed, she was the most popular ship in the game, more Minekazes sinking more tonnage than any other ship. And in some respects it's not hard to see why. She is very much the stereotypical Japanese destroyer. She is blindingly quick at 39.4 knots. That's actually her headline attraction. The only ship that can match her is the Tier 10 Minekaze-class. The only other ship that comes even vaguely close is the Tier 8 Benson-class at 38.5 knots, and then you've got a string of 37 knot mid and high tier Japanese destroyers before you're down into the 34 and 35 knot range used by the mid-tier Japanese destroyers and frankly most of the American destroyer fleets and even a few of the light cruisers and at least one battleship. But Kongo is, well, Kongo-san is unique in many ways. Her torpedoes are also pretty respectable. She is armed with the Type 92 Long Lance torpedo, and she mounts 3 twin-link tubes. One is just forward of the bridge, the other 2 tubes are midships. Slightly limited arcs of fire courtesy of turret placement and the fact the forward tubes are stuck in a well deck, but hey, you can't have everything. Warship design's all about the compromises, sadly. And that, unfortunately, is where the good news ends. Like most Japanese destroyers, she is concealable. She's got a detection range of 6.2 kilometers on the surface and 3.1 kilometers from the air. Couple that to the 7-kilometer range of the Type 92s and the very high speed. 68 knots works out as about 124 kilometers per hour. And you have a ship that can, properly handled, just about manage a stealth bombing. Unfortunately, then it gets to her guns, and at this point the designers appear to have fallen out of the stupid tree and hit every single branch on the way down, and then landed on her head. Because, to be perfectly frank, the guns, even more than most guns on Japanese destroyers, suck horribly. The baseline gun is the 120mm 45 Type 3, 5.6 rounds a minute, 2000 damage. Well, that's fairly typical for a destroyer's gun battery, noting, by the way, that her high explosive shells do the same as her armor piercing. But then you look at the traverse times and the reload times, 5.6 rounds per minute, 30 seconds to get the guns through 180 degrees. And bear in mind that she's been buffed up from what she was in beta. It used to be 60 seconds. It turns at 6 degrees per second. You can modify that with the right captain skill. At Tier 2, Expert Marksman will get you up to 8.5 degrees per second, but you're still looking at 21 seconds to get the guns through 180 degrees. Most of the time in the Minekaze, it's quicker to turn the ship than it is to turn the guns, which is a fairly damning criticism. You can upgrade, of course, to the 120mm L45 Type 3 Mark II kinda, which gets you up to 6.7 rounds per minute, but you've still got that god-awful traverse. And it has to be said, 6.7 rounds per minute, by the standards of Japanese destroyer guns, isn't too shabby. If we take a quick look at Mutsuki, she has, well, don't be fooled here. Despite the fact that her base guns do 5 rounds per minute, and her upgraded guns do 10.9 rounds per minute, it's worth noting that her sea hull halves the guns down to 2 per, so the overall damage per minute doesn't really improve. Although at least they do get the traverse time kinda sorted out to 18 degrees per second. But, hop over to the American tiers. By the time you're in a guns duel with something like, say, a Nicholas or a Farragut, you're going to be regretting your decisions, because 15 rounds per minute, 1 round every 4 seconds, 12 seconds to get the guns round. A Nicholas gets you into its gun sights and its pretty much all over unless you can somehow get a torpedo hit in. Things are even worse against the Tier 6 Farragut, 15 rounds per minute, 12 rounds per second as before. Pretty bad, but a Farragut A puts 5 turrets on you. So it is going to basically hammer you to pieces. Quad torpedo tubes. Yes, they're the Mark 15s, but unfortunately, I hate to break it to you boys and girls, 5.5 kilometers. If a destroyer is at engagement range, chances are he can get a shot with his Mark 15s, and these are World of Warships Mark 14 torpedoes. They're not historical ones. The Mark 15 torpedo shared many of the early problems of the submarine-launched Mark 14. They were notoriously, horribly bad torpedoes. Tales abound from the Pacific War, mostly from the submariners, of torpedo after torpedo either detonating early, running under the target and not detonating at all, or hitting the ship, giving an audible clang, and not doing anything. One American submarine commander would go on to note rather acidly that a lot of the work they had spent in over the course of the first 2 years of the Pacific War, figuring out all the problems with the Mark 14 torpedo and the Mark 6 exploder, could have been done in an afternoon at a torpedo range. But I digress. The Minekaze does have one trick up its sleeve. It has access to a third upgrade slot. The Gunfire Control Mod 1 increases main battery firing accuracy. So once you have that fitted, check the scatter on the main battery Mark III. 67 meters at its maximum range of 7.6 kilometers. Yeah, it's at this point that most people go back to the Isakaze, look at it and think, why did I bother upgrading? Because on an Isakaze, you've got the same Type 92 torpedo, and I mean exactly the same. 14,400 damage, 7 kilometers, 68 knots, 1.3 rounds per minute, 3 twin-linked mounts. Switch back to Minekaze, and 14,400 damage, 7 kilometers, 1.3 rounds per minute, 68 knots. Yeah. Isakaze's primary armament, her torpedoes, are the same as her big brother, Minekaze. Of course, Isakaze's guns, well, they're actually, they're not too shabby. Base turn of 8 degrees per second, upgrading to 10.5 with the right skills, gets you around about 17 seconds to bring the guns round. Still slow, still appallingly slow by American standards, but arguably better, and they do the same high explosive damage as the guns on Minekaze. And her fire control, dear God, why wasn't this fitted to Minekaze? 9.1 kilometers maximum range fully upgraded, compared to 7.6 kilometers fully upgraded. As I said earlier on, the designers did a few things right with Minekaze. They up-engined her massively, they gave her some decent torpedoes, and then they looked at the guns and someone just went herpa derpa derp. Oh wow. In fact, this problem continues. The Mutsuki has got the same garbage fire control, 7.6 kilometers. I don't think things will improve until, yeah, Hatsuharu, 9.3 kilometers again, and Fubuki, 10 kilometers, Kagero, 9.4 kilometers, Shimakaze, 9.8 kilometers. Meanwhile, the US destroyers are laughing all the way to the bank because they got their gunnery right, didn't they? 20 rounds per minute at 11 kilometers. Oh, and she can still stealth bomb at 16.5 kilometers. Gearing is probably the best destroyer even in the game, even if she is let down a little by her lack of speed compared to Shimakaze. She's still faster than pretty much anything out there except a high-tier destroyer, though. Let's have a look at something a little lower, shall we? Benson? Oh yeah, okay, Benson. Benson, I think her guns might be in for a nerf, because ho 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 ho, what have they been feeding the gun crew? 5.3 seconds to get the guns round through 180 degrees. That's 33 degrees per second. I don't know what they're putting in the coffee, but oh boy, I can think of a few co-workers who I'd quite like to be fed something similar. And the gun range again, 11.6 kilometers. Torpedoes Mark 14s, oddly enough. I must admit I thought those were only submarine launched, but again, she can just about stealth bomb with those torpedoes, even if the speed at 52 knots isn't great. However, I've been rambling on long enough. Let's get Minekaze into a fight and see what happens. We've only got 3,500 players on. It is the small hours of the morning in the European Union at the moment, so the servers are quiet. This could throw up some very interesting matchmaking. And welcome to Hotspot, and welcome to some very interesting matchmaking. Let me see, what have we got? 2 Clevelands, well, it could be worse. 2 Clevelands on both sides. We've got an Aoba, we've got a slight advantage there. Independence carrier on both sides. Where's their advantage? I don't see it. Oh yeah, they've got a tier 7 Hatsuharu compared to, well, no, we've got a tier 7 Hatsuharu as well.
Action stations.
Anyhow, full ahead, let's crank up and make use of that speed. Anti-air guns off purely as a matter of habit. Doesn't really matter on this ship. Maximum AA engagement range from memory is about 2 kilometers. This thing's AA guns are garbage, as you'd expect from a destroyer built in 1920 when naval aviation was still in its infancy. Most people just hadn't really worked out how much of a threat carriers were going to be. But even so, if you're in a carrier, it's good practice. Sorry, if you're in a destroyer, it's good practice to turn your AA guns off because, hey, you really don't want to advertise your position to all and sundry. So, initial game plan I think is going to be to run down to sea, then find the enemy, because we'll probably meet them around about sea when their destroyer screeners collides, and then see what happens. Enemy will get a quick grab into B. Their disposition mostly has the initial deployments along the H line opposite us, and we're going to be dancing around these atolls for cover for a bit. Alright then, to business. Let's blow our presence at sea by making an early grab. Remember, we do have 1 extra destroyer, so phase 1 for the moment is scouting. Find the enemy, preferably without being found ourselves. Can't avoid giving away our presence in sea because, hey, mission comes first. You've got to make the cap. Well, you haven't got to, but it significantly helps. Enemy are taking their time, and there we go. Contact with the Hatsuharu. Right, let's put a wide spread out. 1, 2, and 3. He's making evasive turns. We're going to break out of sea, but that's fine. Stephen has made his way into the cap circle, so that suits me just down to the ground. Hatsuharu dodges our torpedoes, no surprise there, and he's doubtless launched his own at this point. Still got 20 seconds on the reload. Guns are just about round. Give him a couple. There we go, a couple of decent hits, and his own torpedoes miss. And in fact, that Omaha, well, he's way out of range, but back out of view. Rearm the guns. Hard to starboard, bring the guns round. Pick up quickly, stabilize, fire again. Wow, target well struck, 4 hits of 4. That is going to have given him something to think about, but his torpedo tubes will be coming back as well, so we have to be careful round this headland. Okay, so he's smoked. He's thought better. I'm going to run straight for a little. Stevens anticipated him coming around this atoll. He's launched a full spread. I'm not going to bother with that. I don't dare anticipate a U-turn from him. So we're going to go round here. Stevens bracketing him left. There we go. He's done. No, he hasn't. That's the Furitaka behind. He hasn't done what I thought he would. He's actually come to a full stop and 180'd, which means there's going to be a spread coming around this island as he's trying to get out of the way. He'll turn to avoid the Nicholas's guns, although it won't save him. He's pretty much dead. We've got him well and truly bracketed here. The only thing that could be problematic is if he anticipates us. No, he hasn't. There's the torp launch. He's trying to kill the Nicholas quickly, get some revenge in. And I think he may just get it. Boom, and Nicholas manages to turn. Who got that kill anyway? Chile? Oh, Kongu got a shot in? Okay, fine, I won't question it. Let's finish this cap. Down to half speed, tighten the turn. Don't want to go out of the cap circle just yet. Come on, inch it, inch it, inch it. There we go. And we're temporarily in the clear at the moment. Both enemy destroyers have gone. There goes the second one. Kufo 9 gets in. So, what we can do at this point is we'll finish the cap, come up to speed, and in fact, dump an engine boost.
Engine boost activated.
Minekaze does make turns for 33 knots, but right now, I actually want to get in front of those Clevelands, as suicidal as that sounds. All ahead full. Cleveland doesn't have torpedoes. New York doesn't have torpedoes. I don't need to worry there, but what I want to do right now is get between their guns and ours, because I want to dump my smoke screens. However, I think we're going to get there just in time to watch our own ships disappear into cover. So, 42 knots. This is as fast as anyone goes in World of Warships. And I'm actually going to have to slow down right as I come around this corner, which is going to be problematic because I'm in detection range of that Cleveland. So, torpedo tubes round, set for widespread, and cut to half throttle, pop smoke.
Smoke generator started.
Rapidly bleed off most of the speed, stabilize at 3/4, narrow spread into this Cleveland. Fire 1, fire 2, fire 3, anticipate his maneuvers. He's still getting detection, he's close enough, it doesn't matter. There we go, smokescreen is laid, so that's bought the battleships and the cruisers some time. My smoke is between them and the enemy. Cleveland's not going to turn fast enough to dodge all my torpedoes. He eats 2 of them. And now I need to get the hell out of here before I am utterly wrecked by this Cleveland, who is close enough that the smoke is no protection at all. Luckily, the smoke is now clouding him. I just traded pretty much all my health for those couple of torpedo shots and those few seconds of respite for our own fleet. Luckily, I think it may have had the desired effect. Yeah, well, it was a nice theory while it lasted. So, new plan. We're back up to speed, running again. And there's the other enemy, Cleveland. So, can we line up for a shot on him? TDC says no, it's going into that island. So instead, we're going to come harder port because I do not want to get into detection of those New Yorks. Or those dive bombers, actually. This is a very bad place to be at the moment. Dive bombers have detected, but we've managed to break contact. And Cleveland is turning again. What the hell's holding detection at this moment? Oh, great. The New York has just inched line of sight on us. Still got incoming. Not sure where from. Yeah, random shot from that battleship. Lucky me. Ah! There's their carrier. Now, can we break out? That is the question. And the answer is still no, because that New York is close enough that he's going to get line of fire. So, fire 1, fire 2, settle without having 3, didn't quite get the shot, but tubes are running. Still 2 battleships out there. Catch the turn. He misses. Good thing I did catch the turn. We'd have sailed right into that damn high explosive barrage. There we go. Torpedoes are still running. Probably going to get one hit from this, maybe. Yeah, there we go. Boom. There we go. Tight spread again. Battleship drivers, for God's sakes, if you know there are destroyers around, assume there are torpedoes in the water. Oh lord, that's a Cleveland firing again. If he decides to aim... All stop, all stop, all stop. Is that Cleveland going to sail right into my torpedoes? Come on, come on. I can't be this lucky. I can't be this lucky. I can't be this lucky. I'm not that lucky. But the New York's still sailing on fat, dumb and happy. So, hey, maybe we can do something. However, Hatsuharu's making his own defensive turn. We're both trying desperately to stay behind this island. And the New York has actually slowed. Well, we might just about be able to do something about this, because we are just inside torpedo range. So if we tiptoe out... Launch 1. Launch 2. Launch 3. He is accelerating, however, so this is going to be tricky. I'm probably going to lose the shot. You can see the TDC is shifting its bearing as we go. And in fact, yep, those torpedoes are all going to miss hopelessly aft. However, the good news is that if they want us, they're going to have to come in and get us. And that is not a good proposition for a battleship. In fact, they've both thought better of it. They're turning away. And at this point, we could simply let the clock tick down. Don't really want to pursue that much firepower, however. Quite content to just hold them in range and let the fleet guns knock them to pieces.
Torpedoes to starboard.
What the hell? Oh, right, okay. Hatsuharu getting optimistic. Of course, he's got the Type 8 Mod 2s. He's got the range, 10 kilometers, and I haven't. I'm limited to 7 with the Type 92s. Let's see if we can get somewhere, because we've pretty much got this one in the bag. I just want to see if we can break out to the left. Accomplish anything around here. Not that there's going to be much point, because, like I said, 978 points to their 326, 984. This is going to be over in about 20 seconds. All I really have to do is survive. And there we go. End of a distinctly average run in a Minekaze. Team scores 1,032, mostly courtesy of those 2 torpedoes I stuck into the Cleveland. But Kongo, well, he did get that destroyer kill, and I didn't really see what the Aoba got up to, but he must have had a fairly decent game to run up 1400 XP off 1 kill. You know what? Let's have another one. We're not going to ask what Dario 292 was doing to run up 0 experience. Some things are better left veiled. Let's see what weirdness the matchmaker produces this time. Welcome to the Solomon Islands, and okay, this is more to my taste. Let's see, they've got 2 Minekazes, we've got an Isakaze and a Minekaze. 1 St. Louis aside, reasonable mix of light cruisers. They've got a slight edge, perhaps, having a South Carolina compared to our Kawachi, but both those ships are, well, not so much hauling garbage as being hauled away as garbage. And of course we're on the Solomon Islands, so the battle for the destroyers opens up with the race to Torpedo Alley. Point B, very tight confines. What you'll typically get is a circling engagement with lots and lots of blind torpedoes coming through that space. Anyone going in there does tend to die horribly. Meanwhile, it's 2 carriers aside. They've got a Bogue and a Hoshu. we've got a Ziho and a Langley. They've got a slight edge there. The Hosho I would regard as the better carrier than the Langley. For one thing, it's a damn sight faster, 25 knots compared to 15.9. The Langley is the slowest ship in the game. The Hosho's other advantage is that it has, well, it has torpedo bombers and lots of them. However, the Langley, like all American carriers, has an edge in the counter-air area. 6 fighters per squadron instead of 3. However, Phase 1 scouting. Now, I know no one has entered Torpedo Alley yet. I'm still capping B. The moment that freezes, then we know someone has hit Torpedo Alley. So, back full for the moment, just to engine brake the ship. Remember, we're waiting for Torpedo Alley, Type B, to freeze. Come on. All stop. Wait for it. Wait for it. Still no freeze. Furataka at 6 kilometers. One of the Minekazes has gone round for C. And I still have the other unaccounted for. There's something very strange going on here. These guys aren't deploying on the usual plan. And we can't get into the alley and through it without being picked up. There's the other Minekaze, round at point B. Unfortunately, he's got close enough to the Phoenix that the Phoenix has got line of sight on him. So I need to wait for this Kuma to get past the island so I can get into the alley without being detected. And there we go. Right. Speed boost on. Crank into the turn. Turns for 34.7, 34.89 knots in the turn. That's fine by me. Let's crank up and accelerate. Remember, I want to try to get through Destroyer Alley without being detected or without running into blind fire torpedoes. Fine by me. That wasn't too bad an idea on his part, actually. Kuma's coming through. He's going to get detection on us just for a second. There we go. Now, he has probably anticipated me making the break at this point. Has he? Has he just run himself aground for some reason? Not sure, but it hardly matters. Make the turn, make the break into Destroyer Alley, come out the other side. And so far, we're in the clear, which means we're now free and ready to start making a run for an AFK St. Louis. Oh, sweet hallelujah, my cup runneth over. However, he can still detect us, so watch this very carefully. Launch 1, launch 2, launch 3, then turn. Remember, we need to tiptoe round his detection rays. AFK or not, he's still going to feed our position to rather a lot of enemy guns. So turn carefully, keep him on the beam. And at this point we are feeding artillery spots to pretty much our entire team. And right now these guys think it's coming from the Omaha and the Isokaze over there. In fact, you know what? If I get the time... Strike 1. Oh, detection from something. There we go, the Furataka. Luckily he hasn't seen us. However, he sure as hell's seen us now. Okay, make the turn. Lay on to Furataka. Widespread because he is turning. Fire 1. Fire 2. Narrow shot. There we go. Still no incoming fire warnings. So let's turn... Hope he hasn't seen us. At this point, getting detected by the St. Louis is the lesser of several evils, but ideally I want to thread between two. Oh, don't tell me he's not turned. Oh, please. Oh, please. Oh, please. Mein Gott, some cruiser captains are stupid. If you have a detection, you cannot explain, boys and girls. Torpedoes in the water. There's no other term for it. And there's the Bogue. We take that out, and there's the Hosho. Right, it's fun. It's go time, ladies and gentlemen. Furataka's realised what's going on. He's pursuing. Torpedoes are running into the down to the St. Louis. That's going to be an easy kill. Hosho's on the move. He knows what's coming as well. So, at this point, it's going to be smoke to cover us from Furutaka. And once the moment we get the turn, there we go. Strike. There goes.
We've destroyed an enemy cruiser.
There goes the St. Louis. So at this point, we're homing in. 2 carriers to murder. We have incoming. Furutaka's made his spots.
Smoke generator started.
Pop the smoke launcher. We're outrunning our own smoke, so we need to cut speed a little, or that Furutaka will still get guns shots. Not by much, however. Remember, pulse every...
Smoke screen set.
There we go. Right, up to full. Get in after him. First target is the Bogue, because he's jammed up against the map edge. So, fire 1, fire 2. Come on, give me the shot. Fire 3. Torpedoes are running. Now we need to start evading like hell, because that Furutaka can knock us to pieces very, very easily. There we go. Right. AA guns are in play. Doesn't matter because, let's face it, we're thoroughly spotted anyway. 2 torpedo hits. Right, we're going to start taking defensive fire from the Hosho just for a second. Lock torpedo, get the TDC bearings out.
Torpedoes, direct front.
There we go. Desperate shot from his torpedo bombers wasn't enough. Then again, it might be. Little jink left, harder starboard, turn round that torpedo. Ships are loaded. Fire 1, fire 2, and fire 3. There we go. That should be enough to kill the Hosho. Problem now... There we go. Is that my steering gear's jammed. 25 seconds until I can repair it. And I'm going to be circling in range of this Bogue. This is a bloody awful situation. Kill the speed boost. Let's see what we can do with speed changes. If we can just frustrate this guy long enough. Ironically, the fact that we jammed at full rudder... Oh dear. That's what I need. The repair crews have come back. There we go. Come on, come on, come on. Lock on. Launch 1. Launch 2. Harder starboard. Harder starboard. Launch 3. Bogue will be turning, but right now I need to deny the Furutaka a shot as long as possible. Hit the map boundary. That just about frustrated his guns. Okay, 1 hit. High-X rounds are still coming back. There we go. He's on fire. That's fine. 10 seconds to torpedo reload. Fire again. 3 seconds. Come on, come on, come on. Fire! Fire. We're about to find out if torpedoes... No, they don't have a minimum arming distance. Okay. Fix the engines again. Arm up again. Launch 1. Launch 2. Back up to speed. His guns haven't quite compensated, and luckily Dargard saved my backside with a well-aimed shot, and then what was either flooding or fire, but oh boy, that was way too close for comfort. I genuinely thought I wasn't going to be able to get out of that mess when the carrier's secondary guns put that second engine destruction onto me. Disable the AA guns. I really don't want to expose to that New York. Let's just get out of sight of these fighters. Luckily the New York's looking somewhere else, so hard over. Let's go hunting again. They're down to 2 battleships and a destroyer at this point. We're not doing too badly at all. Of course, if I get within range of that New York secondary, it's going to shred me without even trying. Whew. This is why the Minekaze is so dangerous, gentlemen. It can essentially nail you very rapidly. Japanese destroyers in general, if you're not getting best use out of the torpedoes, you're doing it wrong. And in fairness, if I'd been in an Minekaze, I would have been sunk. Well, no, I'd be on 191 health, and my underwear would be in even more desperate need of a change than it is at the moment. But let's just kick out a little. I want to get a slightly better angle on this South Carolina. In fact, cut speed, harder port, because he's turning to port as well. If he keeps that turn going... No, he hasn't. He's jinked again. Right. This guy might not be entirely stupid, which would be a novelty in a South Carolina driver. Oops, he's got detection. Yeah, boy. This is bad. Out of range of those... Oh, it's a spotter plane, is it? Fine. Guns up. Let's get rid of the little sod. Also, let's dump the smoke screen. Protect the New York. Which is the destroyer's other role, of course. Smoke screens for the battleships and the cruisers so they don't get shot at. Not in a great position here because, well, New York's actually sailing out of my smoke screen at this point.
Smoke screen set.
However, it'll serve. I'm unlikely to get a better shot, and the South Carolina's continuing his turn. Tighten the torp spread just for the moment. Right. Pity. You'd think that our New York would be covered by the smoke screen. God damn it, can we get rid of that spotter plane? I know I've only got a couple of rifle cal machine guns, if that... Thank you! Good night, you little... Yeah, probably shouldn't say that word on YouTube. Anyhow, let's go hunting again. 8.5 kilometers. South Carolina is steaming away. Not even a hope of a shot there. What about this New York? No, he's... Nope, South Carolina's the only one left. I'm gonna get you, little piggy. I'm gonna get ya. Come on. Yes, I know I could just wait this out, but come on. If he sinks our New York somehow, I'm the only one in a position to drop this guy. Now he's sailing for map edge, which means he's going to turn to starboard. Yep, there he goes. He'll want to keep his maneuverability, and getting a little too close for comfort, so put him on the beam. Again, hold the range. What's he doing with his TDC? Oh, right, he's hit map edge. Okay, fine by me. Fire 1. Fire 2, widespread. Fire 3, just in case he decides to make his turn. And wouldn't you know it, he decides to make a turn. Well, it doesn't really matter anyway, because we've won. 1,000 points on the dot. There we go. It was really just a question of who was going to have him eventually. He was pinned up against the map edge, had nowhere to go, and I could have held at about 6.5 kilometers and just made stealth bomb after stealth bomb. But that got us high caliber, damaging 4 ships, 30% total HP of all the ships in the team, a flooding damage, a liquidator, cause flooding and destroy her. Ye gods, he must have had his repair crew on serious cooldown. And of course a devastating strike, which is what you tend to get when you use torpedo salvos like that. But still, a most honourable performance. 3 ships destroyed, 1 fire, a flooding, and even a few gun hits, which is a rarity. Detailed report. Okay, well, there aren't many battles in which you do 110,000 damage and change. Most of it has to be said to the carriers. But, ladies and gentlemen, that has been the Minekaze-class destroyer. Very much the typical Japanese destroyer. She's all about her torpedoes. As you can see, I barely fired my guns in both of those engagements, but didn't stop me having a couple of absolutely... well, one rather average run and one rather decent run for a tier 5. But until next time, farewell. And for God's sakes, if you have a detection warning and you can't see what's causing it, there are torpedoes in the water. I don't know how many times we're going to have to repeat this to battleship and cruiser drivers, but yeah. If you're on my team, remember it. If you're not on my team, keep sailing in straight lines. I'll thank you for it. Farewell.